In July 2026, Cristiano Ronaldo is 41 years old, under contract with Al Nassr through 2027, still captaining Portugal and still chasing history at the FIFA World Cup. By then, he has already done something no man had ever done before: score in 6 different World Cups. He also owns the world records for men's international appearances and international goals. But those numbers, staggering as they are, still don't explain the real mystery. How did a boy from a poor neighbourhood on a small island in the Atlantic build one of the most relentless careers sport has ever seen? To understand that, you have to go back to Madeira, before the stadium lights, before the private jets, before the empire, to a child who seemed born with a ball at his feet and a storm in his chest. Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro was born on February 5, 1985, in Funchal, on the Portuguese island of Madeira. He was the youngest of 4 children, raised in a working-class family in a modest home overlooking the ocean. His mother worked as a cook and cleaner. His father was a gardener and also worked as a kit man for a local club. Ronaldo was named after Ronald Reagan, one of his father's favourite actors. An almost unbelievable detail for a boy who would one day become one of the most recognisable faces on earth. But there was nothing glamorous about his childhood. Money was tight, stability was fragile. His father struggled with alcohol, and from the beginning, football was not just a game in that house, it was escape. It was identity. It was oxygen. By the time he was 10, people around Madeira already knew there was something different about him. He played with the kind of obsession that can make adults stop talking and just watch. He didn't simply enjoy football, he consumed it. He thought about it at school, at home, in the street, at meals, in bed. That intensity would become his signature, but as a child it also made him vulnerable. He was emotional, fiercely proud, desperate to prove himself, and already carrying more hunger than most grown men. When Sporting CP brought him to Lisbon as a teenager, he left behind his island, his family, and the only world he understood. The move was opportunity, but it was also exile, and that is where the story sharpens. Lisbon was supposed to be the beginning. It almost became the end. At 15, Ronaldo was diagnosed with tachycardia, a racing heart condition serious enough to threaten his career before it had even begun. He underwent surgery, returned to training within days, and pushed forward as if fear itself had insulted him. But the medical scare was only one part of the pressure. He was still just a teenager, living far from home, growing up inside a professional system that demanded results before adulthood had even settled in. And then came a deeper wound. In 2005, when Ronaldo was just 20, his father died from an alcohol-related illness. For all the complexity in that relationship, the loss hit him hard. The boy, who had once played to be seen, was now playing with grief behind his eyes. The turning point arrived in 2003, and it came like a scene written for cinema. Sporting played Manchester United in a friendly to inaugurate its new stadium. Ronaldo didn't just perform well, he unsettled one of the biggest clubs in the world. His speed, dribbling and nerve were so electric that United's players reportedly urged Sir Alex Ferguson to sign him. Ferguson listened. Soon, an 18-year-old Ronaldo was heading to Old Trafford carrying the heaviest gift imaginable, the number 7 shirt, a number linked to George Best, Eric Cantona and David Beckham. For many young players, that shirt would have been too large. For Ronaldo, it became a prophecy. But before the prophecy could come true, he had to survive the ridicule. In England, the talent was obvious, but so were the flaws. He was flashy. He overdid the tricks. He frustrated teammates, opponents and pundits. Some saw genius in development, others saw vanity. Then came the 2006 World Cup, when Ronaldo was vilified by English fans after Wayne Rooney's red card against Portugal. He returned to Manchester as one of the most hated footballers in the league. That moment mattered because it forced a choice. He could become a performer, or he could become a force. Ronaldo chose the harder path. He transformed flair into efficiency, ego into output, and ambition into discipline. That transformation is the engine of his entire life story. What followed at Manchester United was the birth of a global superstar. Under Ferguson, Ronaldo added muscle, decision-making, timing, and ruthless end product to the fireworks already inside him. He helped United win 3 straight Premier League titles, the Champions League and the Club World Cup. Then came the 2007 to 2008 season, the season that made the argument impossible to ignore. He scored 42 goals in all competitions and won his first Ballon d'Or. At 23, he was no longer a prodigy. He was the best player in the world. And still, for Ronaldo, that was only one mountain. He had already fixed his eyes on another. In 2009, Real Madrid paid a world record fee to bring him to Spain. The move was gigantic, but the pressure was even larger because Madrid is not a club that accepts greatness in installments. It demands legend immediately. Ronaldo answered with one of the most devastating stretches in football history. Over 9 seasons, he scored more than 450 goals in 438 matches and became Real Madrid's all-time leading scorer. He won 4 Champions League titles with the club, 2 La Liga crowns, and 4 more Ballon d'Or awards. More importantly, he redefined what a forward could be. He was not simply prolific, he was industrial. Headers, free kicks, penalties, tap-ins, screamers, late winners, knockout goals, finals, comebacks, records broken so quickly they felt temporary. In Madrid, Ronaldo stopped chasing history and started overwhelming. Yet even that wasn't enough. In 2018, he made another high-risk move, leaving Madrid for Juventus, where he won 2 Serie A titles and scored over 100 goals. Many thought he was moving into the final act. Instead, he kept rewriting the script. His emotional return to Manchester United in 2021 gave fans one more wave of nostalgia. But football had changed, and so had the club. The second spell ended turbulently in 2022, with a painful public split that looked to many people like the first true crack in the myth. Then came the move that divided opinion all over the world: Saudi Arabia. When Ronaldo joined Al Nassr, critics said the competitive summit was over. Ronaldo, as always, treated doubt like fuel. The Saudi move became about more than football. It reset the economics and visibility of the league, drawing global attention and helping open the door for other major stars to follow. In June 2025, he extended his Al Nassr contract through 2027, making it clear that he was not interested in fading quietly. The trophies that define his club legacy were mostly built in Europe, but the Saudi chapter revealed something just as important. Ronaldo was no longer only an athlete, he was a gravitational force. By 2026, Forbes estimated his annual earnings at around $300 million and his net worth at roughly $1.2 billion, making him once again the world's highest paid athlete. He built that fortune not only through football, but through the CR7 business machine, including fashion, fragrances, hospitality ventures with Pastana CR7 hotels, digital media, and a constantly expanding investment portfolio. The boy, who once needed football to escape poverty, had become a global corporation without ever stepping away from the game. And still, for all the money and fame, the core of his life remains strangely repetitive. Ronaldo has spoken openly about the routines that keep him sharp: sleep tracking, recovery metrics, hydration, cold exposure, breathing, visualization, and an almost scientific commitment to consistency. Through his partnership and investment in Whoop, he has described a daily system built around training, sleep, recovery, and minute physical details most people would ignore. He has said, talent without work is nothing, and in his case, it does not sound like branding. It sounds like biography. Even now, his mornings begin not with luxury, but with discipline. Water, recovery, light, family, preparation, then work. The extraordinary thing about Ronaldo is not that he lives lavishly. It is that he still lives like someone trying to earn the dream for the first time. His family life has also become a central part of the public image. With Georgina Rodriguez and his children, Ronaldo presents a version of himself that is softer than the competitor the world sees on the field. But that softer side does not cancel the harder one. It coexists with it. The perfectionism remains. The pride remains. The fierce need to be decisive remains. So does the desire to be seen not just as great, but as the greatest. That ambition has made him polarizing at times. Some admire the confidence, others recoil from it. But even his critics usually end up conceding the same thing. Almost nobody in modern sport has shown this kind of sustained commitment to self-invention. And then there is Portugal, the part of the story that makes everything feel personal. For all his club triumphs, winning with his country changed the emotional weight of his career. Euro 2016, even with his final cut short by injury, gave Portugal its first major international trophy. The Nations League followed in 2019 and again in 2025. By the summer of 2026, UEFA listed Ronaldo at 231 international appearances and 145 international goals, both men's world records. He had also become the first player to feature in 6 European Championships and the first man to score in 6 World Cups. Those are not just stats, they are evidence of an athlete who turned longevity into a form of dominance. So what made him different? Not talent alone. Football has seen many gifted players. Ronaldo's edge was the fusion of obsession and structure. He didn't trust inspiration. He built routines. He didn't wait for confidence. He trained until confidence became muscle memory. He used criticism as a sharpening stone. He treated discipline not as punishment, but as freedom. And perhaps most importantly, he kept evolving. Winger became scorer. Scorer became finisher. Finisher became symbol. Symbol became institution. Every time football tried to put him in the past tense, he found another sentence. That is why Cristiano Ronaldo's legacy reaches beyond goals and trophies. He changed how athletes think about longevity, branding, conditioning, and personal control. He proved that superstardom could be manufactured through repetition as much as magic. He made ambition visible. He made self-belief loud. He made excellence look like a habit. And whether you see him as the greatest ever or simply one of the greatest, his story leaves behind a lesson too powerful to ignore. Talent may open the door, but obsession decides how long you stay in the room. In the end, Cristiano Ronaldo is more than a footballer, more than a celebrity, more than a man chasing records deep into his 40s. He is the living proof of what happens when a child refuses to let hardship define the ending. From a small home in Madeira to the biggest stadiums on earth, he built his life the same way he built his game. One repetition, one sacrifice, one impossible standard at a time. And long after the final whistle comes, long after the boots are gone and the scoreboards go dark, one truth will remain. Some players are remembered for what they won. Cristiano Ronaldo will be remembered for how fiercely he refused to stop becoming.